Hello, this is Chris Pickard at Body in Balance, and today is fear number 2 from the survey that I did in 2017 about the fears that people have about their future health, and it is mental health. So I'm talking about just general decline in dementia, depression, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. Now, the way that medicine looks at all of these is they try and see there's one cause. So, for instance, depression, you need more serotonin. If it's Alzheimer's, it's because of certain things happen in the brain, and they try all these different drugs and they are failing to find an answer. Parkinson's, it's because of an imbalance of a certain chemical. You put the chemical in, but again, putting that chemical in doesn't really solve the problem. So what are, according to science, some of the underlying causes of brain failure? So what are the number one brain slayers? Well, at the top, there's definitely stress. Mental stress, chemical stress, physical stress, which we'll actually get to all of these actually, but I'm talking about emotional stress. Emotional stress literally shuts down and poisons the brain and the body. And you have to learn to adapt, to make stress your friend, or find out how to actually make stress work for you. Number 2, again, this is no particular order, but it's actually sugar. Alzheimer's is actually being called diabetes of the brain because they think it's too much sugar getting in the brain. But no, there's no medication that's actually treating it like diabetes in the brain. And of course, you can't actually change how much sugar is getting into the body unless you actually decide to change. Then you have immune responses. There's some evidence that looks at things like Parkinson's and dementia and Alzheimer's actually being improper immune responses somewhere inside the brain. And so you've actually got to change how your brain's immune system is working or stop the immune assault on the brain. One theory is that it's actually coming from the gut. Bacteria in the gut we know actually affect the brain. Some gut bacteria make you feel happy. Some gut bacteria will actually protect you against Alzheimer's and probably Parkinson's as well. It's a fascinating subject when you look at how the whole body and the brain all works together. Then you have raw materials. So many things put down to being either Parkinson's-like or Alzheimer's or dementia are actually nothing more than actually just deficiencies. You're not eating enough of the right things. So you actually need nutrients to go in the body, vitamins and minerals. So much depression is just a vitamin deficiency. Then there's toxins as well. Toxins like heavy metals like lead, which you would have actually inherited a lot of lead from your mother, even if you yourself have not been exposed to lead, especially if you're a firstborn child, apparently. There's also mercury from amalgam fillings. If you had a lot of amalgam fillings, and especially if you ever had an amalgam silver filling replaced, that is a major source of exposure of mercury, and mercury is an incredibly potent neurotoxin. You also get a lot of neurotoxins in vaccines. Now, it's quite controversial, but if you look up the very, very latest scientific research into actually what's in vaccines, there's a lot of weird things in there that are not mentioned, including heavy metals. Then there's also medication itself, things like paracetamol. And as innocent that is, that's very bad for the brain. Anti-inflammatory drugs, very bad for the brain. You also have things like antihistamine drugs given very, very commonly for hay fever. It's really bad for the brain. And when you mix it with other things like certain cough medicines, if you mix it with paracetamol, it's bad news for the brain. Antipsychotics, bad for the brain. Antidepressants, probably bad for the brain. Barbiturates, drugs that also help you sleep, bad for the brain. And really terrible for the brain is omeprazole and antacids. They can be terrible for the brain in the long run. So you've got to try and find out what's really causing your problem so you don't need the medication. I'm not saying stop the medication, I'm saying find the cause, get it fixed, then you can safely come off the medication. Then there's, which you can't see, which I've already spoken about, immobility. Just a lack of motion is terrible for the brain. And then at the bottom, which you can't see, just not thinking enough, not actually taxing your brain with quizzes, with puzzles, not giving your brain something really active to do. And so this is just 8 brain slayers. Now, in the Anti-Aging Health Lab, we cover stress, how to decrease it, and how to make use of stress to make it your friend to grow your brain. We talk about sugar and the gut and immune health and raw materials. We talk about toxins. We talk about moving. And yes, there is going to be a bonus module on thinking as well. So if mental health, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's are a major fear for yours, then the Anti-Aging Health Lab will actually go through a lot of these. We can actually go through it with you one-on-one. But if you want to save yourself some money and you want everything there all together for you, then contact us about the Anti-Aging Health Lab. That's 01 707 662 704, or look at the website, reply to my emails. So live young, everyone.